There's a philosopher called Jean-Paul Sartre, and he wrote a play. And in this play, it's about these three people being trapped in eternity, in hell, essentially, and they're just stuck in this room with each other. And there's a line in it, and it says, "Hell is other people." And a lot of people misunderstood that quote, and they thought, well, other people are just really annoying. And of course, if you're stuck in the room with two people for eternity, they're going to annoy you, right? But what he meant was a lot more complex than that. And I'm going to relate this to men's self-improvement, red pill, manosphere, whatever you want to call it. We're going to relate it to that, because I see a lot of these issues with a lot of these main content, huge content creators, and a lot of the followers, a lot of the people that want to imitate these guys. They have this problem. So hell is other people. And essentially what he meant was, the moment that you're in the company or the vicinity of other people, you change. You start to view yourself, view the lens of other people. It's almost an instinctual reaction. You can't really help it, right? The moment you're in society, out and about, and there's other people around, there's other people around, so you act accordingly to when other people are around, right? You act differently if you're just home alone. You're home alone and no one's watching. So there's definitely a natural part that we all do, right? And it's a necessary thing. Okay, imagine we didn't have that. We just did not care about other people, right? There's definitely a necessary part of it. But going even deeper, it's caring so much and viewing yourself via the lens of the way other people view you. And you see this all the time with these big self-improvement, masculinity gurus and so on, the Andrew Tates and the likes. Everything is for that validation from others. All of the cars, the houses, the watches, the flashy, the lifestyle, the women, all of this stuff tends to derive from needing that validation. It's covering up something, and we're going to get into what it's covering up exactly. But it's so funny, because these guys talk about being the man and alpha this, bad boy this, high value man and whatnot. And you know what the most alpha thing you can do is not give a crap about any of that stuff. Not give a crap about the opinions of others. Now there's a caveat to this, and we'll get to it. But for example, a man who wants to walk down the street in women's clothes, and he genuinely doesn't care, if he can do it from a place of genuinely not caring about other people, which is tricky, but if he could, and he just does it because he really wants to do it, and that's what makes him feel good, that's the most alpha stuff you can do, right? Genuinely. It's actually more alpha than getting tattoos, getting jacked on roids, being all tough, acting tough, Rolex on the wrist and all this stuff, but you're doing it because you want that validation from others. Like that tranny is more alpha than that guy in that sense. Now the thing is, and the other part of that play that it touched on, and his philosophy was, you need the opinions of other people to become more well-rounded, to become develop a better sense of yourself. We all know this. If you meet anyone that you seemingly genuinely doesn't give a crap about other people, they end up being some of the worst people to be around. They're incredibly arrogant and obnoxious, usually narcissistic. Like, they're repulsive people. I met a few of them in my time, and I'm sure you have. So you don't actually want to get to the stage where you don't care about the opinions of others. Now, of course, how much you value that, and how much you value, like, the people close to you, that's who you should really value. You're going to value the opinion of strangers. For the most part, you don't want to, right? But there are some things about living in a society that you have to, and then you accept there are certain rules you have to play by, right? You're out and about in public. You want to be courteous. You don't want to be obnoxious. You don't want to be rude. You play these games. These are things that we have to do in general terms. But sometimes you've got to take some of the criticism, especially the more you put yourself out there. I know this as being a content creator and putting my videos out there and stuff. Sometimes you have to think to yourself, if someone criticizes you or gives you a different opinion or tells you this and that, you should be taking it in. You should be trying to filter that in and ask yourself the question, is this person right? Could I do better? And so on. And that molds you in many ways. And that's not beta, right? That's not pathetic. That's not, oh, you care too much about other people's opinions, because it becomes that way when you're trying to act in a certain way and show certain things and flaunt your achievements and accolades and wealth or whatever it is to get the validation of others. Now, we all do this to some degree, right? We all got that. I'm not going to sit here and say I am free of any of that stuff. At the end of the day, I'm doing this video now. I'm doing YouTube and all of this because I have that ego, right? I'm making a mockery of these type of guys. That's a virtue signaling thing at the end of the day, right? No one's really free of that. But it's when you give it the big one about you're the man, you don't give a crap, out for this, and at the same time you're talking about being the perfect man, flaunting this, flaunting your 10 Lambos and 10 Ferraris and all the women you've been sleeping with and all this, and you're showing it off and can't stop talking about it and how great you are. That's when it becomes hypocritical, because you're not really doing it out of a place of pure security and confidence. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to do that, right? Now, there's a difference, man. There's a huge difference, and you could buy a Lamborghini, and if you get a Lamborghini because you just genuinely like the Lambo, you like the car, you like the steering wheel, you like how the stick is, the speed of the car, the seats, like you genuinely love to drive that thing. There's a big difference between that and getting the Lambo because you want other people to see you driving a Lambo. There's a big difference there. So developing that self-awareness as to why you have these things, why you want these things, and why do you want to show these things. And unfortunately, in the manosphere space, it does come from a place of insecurity, trying to fill a void. And I don't think it's any coincidence that almost every big male self-improver is or has a troubling or non-existent relationship with their fathers. And that's not their fault. Of course it isn't their fault. I'm just saying there's a coincidence. There's no coincidence there. There's a link there, right? They're trying to fill that void in many ways from the lack of relationship and love that they had with their dads. And that's rough. That's rough. And again, there's some irony in there, and having those type of people try to then teach other men who have struggled with that relationship with their fathers or just have a complete lack of it, and then they're trying to fill the void for the others and so forth. It gets messy, man. And it gets messy when it starts to build on top of these wobbly, shallow foundations. So can you reach a point where you don't need to show, you don't need to prove to the world how great you are and everything you've done and look what you have and all of this, while simultaneously valuing the opinion of others and people who know you, and constructive criticism, and understanding that you play a role within a society and a culture, and there are certain rules you have to abide by, and sometimes they can help you. It's a balancing act that is never ending. What do you think, guys? What do you think? If you enjoyed this video and you're new, like and subscribe. Really appreciate that. And we continue many of these discussions inside my free men's community. Link is in the pinned comment.